Welcome to this webinar today about how to transform your practice into the money-making machine that it should be. I want to give everyone a nice warm welcome to all the doctors out there that are here today because for any number of reasons, your practice just isn't living up to its full potential. Maybe you're a little bit slower than you like. Maybe things are running okay and you're treading water, but you're still frustrated. You're still confused and concerned about the future of your practice and your own personal life. And this is exactly why you should listen to what our guest has to share with you today. This is going to be a real eye-opening session, and really the timing couldn't be better. This is a real golden opportunity for you to bolster your practice. So in a moment, I'm going to introduce you to someone who can dramatically transform your practice and possibly your life. Now, I know this may sound like a big promise, but our guest has literally helped hundreds of doctors in all kinds of specialties. Doctors just like you who wanted to improve their practice by making it more profitable and rewarding. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the webinar today, Dr. Todd Savine. Now, Dr. Savine, we'd like to get you started here today, but would you first give us a little bit of information about who you are and what you've accomplished?
History about myself. I was a private practitioner who started roughly right out of school, and my practice grew between 20 and 50% a year for several years. And I hit a point where I had reached out and probably gone about as far as I can go by myself, and that was maybe 7, 8 years into practice. And at that point, I think it was in the millions in collections, and was in the top percentage of the nation of independent practitioners as far as gauge as how good I could be or how good you could really do, keeping in mind that one person can only do so much, right? And at some point, you hit a ceiling and that's it. So in a search for expansion to do this, I came across different Fortune 500 CEOs. And what the big takeaway was is the tendency that they have the ability to think, or they've been trained to think much differently than I had ever been trained or taught, and much differently than any doctor I've come across. And I would venture to say that most of you as physicians probably think pretty similar, which is why you get along and oftentimes do what you do, because it's a habitual thing and you're very similar in your thinking patterns. It's not a bad thing, it's just what it is. Most of us don't necessarily think like a CEO. So to make this in a smaller example or easier to understand, when you're a doctor in private practice and you're seeing a lot less patients and you have a smaller staff, the problems and the challenges that you experience are very different than when you're seeing a lot more patients. So in other words, a doctor that sees 100 patients a week with 1 or 2 staff members, that doctor has different problems than a doctor that sees 200 patient visits a week with twice the staff and an associate, or 400 patients a week with 3 associates and 10 to 20 staff. The problems are different, the challenges are different, the needs are different. And if you ask those doctors how they problem solve different things, it's really surprising in the answers that they give and how they view things. And I promise you, the one that has a bigger practice thinks much more globally, and their practice is much larger, and it's by design, it's not by accident. So the way I had expanded so much and brought this full circle to such a big level before I started to share it was actually hired Fortune 500 CEOs, and I paid $35,000 a month to be trained like a CEO, and I did that for some time. And when we did that, our collections went up $1 million the year we did that. And I attribute that to the thinking patterns and the training that was brought on by being around those Fortune 500 CEOs. It was quite an experience. But after that, so many doctors started calling saying, hey, how did you do this? How do you do that? How do you install a sleep lab? How do you install a pharmacy? How do you adjudicate a claim? How do you get paid? How do you hire a PT? How do you hire a different doctor? If you're family practice, how do you bring aboard a neurologist? Or if you're a neurologist, how do you bring aboard a physical therapist? How do you ensure that it's going to produce, right? How do you get certainty on it? And I started helping doctors just because I enjoyed it so much and developed a knack for it, and it kind of bloomed into what we do today, which is physicians business management. The focus of physicians business management is to help ensure that you have everything your practice not only needs, but what you need. So we want to give you what you want, but it's critical that we give you what you need. Sometimes I found with a lot of doctors, there's not a lot of clarity between what they want and what they need, or they have a harder time articulating it. But I can promise you the patterns for them are identical. They're very much creatures of habit, as am I. There's certain things, again, they want, they need. They need flow, they need efficiency, they need protections from payback, They need to make sure the claims are processed in a timely fashion, they're correct, and they get paid. But what they really need, and none of them realize and none of them have, is systems in place in each department for outcomes that are measurable. In other words, if you do certain procedures or certain orthotics or DMEs or adjustments or injections or prescriptions, there's a pattern to it that you may not have realized. And pharmaceutical companies know it. In fact, pharmaceutical reps will pay for the information to find out what you prescribe, and that's how pharmaceutical reps know to call on you, your habitual patterns in prescribing. It's not an accident that if you practice neurology, pulmonology reps aren't calling on you, right? They know. In essence, what we need is you need results that are measurable. And so we install measurable results. Your practice can be monitored. But more importantly, anything that you can measure, you can grow. And you can guarantee the growth once it's measured. That's really the main difference or the main focus between a job and a business. So when you ever go to sell your practice, or depending on how far away you are at that point in time, and there's going to come a day with promise where you want to sell your practice, whether you sell it outright in the open market or to a venture capitalist group or to a hospital or whoever that may be, the practices, and I can share with you with absolute certainty, the practices with systems that are measurable and have monitoring and checkpoints within them on production, they will pay in a multiplier significantly more than a busy practice with a doctor that has associates or doctors that produce but do not have measurements or measuring systems within them. So protocols and systems are critical. Now, again, if you roll your eyes and think, I just can't stand the thought of having to do all that, you don't have to. The staff can do it. In fact, your staff does it now. You just don't realize it. An easy example would be when the phone rings, somebody says hello. Now, you probably don't have a system down in writing for the front desk person that says when the phone rings, pick it up and say hello, but that's a system or a protocol. So all these are already mapped out for most practices. In a generic format, they need to be customized and changed for yours, but that's what you really give to produce. That's what gives consistency and productivity. As a reference point for you, most practices will grow considerably within the first 90 days. An expectation is most practices will increase by $500,000 to $1 million if they have the ability to implement everything, all the potential that's found. And by found, I mean there's a lot of lost revenue within every practice that's just lost, that doctors have good intentions to get to but don't because there's no systems or protocols in place to get it. So when those systems are put in and the staff has guidance and instructions with accountability, you'll be surprised at how fast it goes. Any fees that physician's business charges, if we can't generate that in income starting almost immediately, we wouldn't take you on as a client, which in essence guarantees that every single client we have is going to produce, do well, and make money. Wouldn't it be nice to have more time to do the things that you really want to do? So a lot of doctors work, they're always behind on notes. They can't get caught up on either notes or billing or procedures or whatever it may be, and the practices are run very inefficient. Most doctors, the key that we see most frequently is they work in the practice and not on the practice. So we've got to carve off time for that provider or to work with their staff to train the staff to work on the practice and not just in the practice. In essence, when the patient care is better and systems are in place and protocols are being followed, right, or standing orders within the insurance guidelines, and keep in mind everything that's done is always within the insurance parameter or insurance guideline to protect you, right? We never just do anything for the sake of doing it. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter what I think or what you think. All that matters is what Medicare or Blue Cross or Aetna or whatever insurance carrier you're working with thinks, because they're the one paying you, they're the one you're contracted with. So we always have to do everything within the boundaries and guidelines that they have so you're never in any trouble. When you're more efficient, you'll be more productive, and not only will the care be better, you have more time to do things. So everyone's priorities are different. Some people it's time, which is time to do hobbies, family, kids, whatever that may be. Other people it's money. Some people it's both, whatever that may be. But the only way that happens is if you run the practice like it's a business rather than a job. It used to be that more services or more patients equaled more success, and that's not necessarily true. What's happened with insurance carriers is very intelligently but strategically, they've looked to see what physicians do habitually. And things that are done very commonly, they've actually lowered the reimbursement rates for, because doctors went to them frequently as a means to help patients, but also increase revenue. And what they've done is they still allow them, but they drop the revenue price point. And things that you don't do as often, they've increased revenue on. And a lot of physicians don't realize that when they look at what their payment fees are from today compared to a few years ago. So that's an example of more services plus more patients equals success, but it may not always be true. So you can be busier, and busyness does not necessarily equal productive. You're about to discover a real tried and true, foolproof medical practice building strategies that every high-income doctor takes advantage of who consistently grow their revenue and make their practice more stable. I believe in being of value, so I want to make you a little bribe, or offer, should we say. Stick around to the very end, and we'll offer 10 practices, a free practice analysis to find out how much money you're losing, steps we can take to make you more efficient, with a plan on how much money you could or should be collecting should you currently change what you're doing, guaranteed. How many hours a week are you working right now? If you're going to survive, you have to learn to think differently. So be honest with yourself. How financially healthy is your medical practice right now? How is this really affecting your health or your quality of life? So you may ask yourself, how do you really do that? Are you not sleeping enough, perhaps? Think about what this is doing to your body, to your mind, to your family, to your relationship with your spouse, with your kids. In other words, when you're not in your office, are you present? Are you where you're supposed to be? And if you're there, but your head is somewhere else, the answer is no. So, again, I get it. To share a story with you, my tipping point was when my daughter was born. I'll never forget that moment inside my head when I thought, man, up until now I worked like a maniac, probably 50, 60 hours a week. And I know some of you are going, that's nothing. I'm doing that now, and I don't want to. I was working 50, 60 hours a week, and I was really working. I'm not just saying that. I was first in, last out, every day, all day. But I did it because I had a passion for it, and I just loved it. And what I didn't realize at that time was, like I'm sharing with you now, I had a job. I made a phenomenal living as a doctor. I had a great practice. It was a strong practice. It was a big, busy practice. I really couldn't thought to ask for more. And then I had a daughter. And as she was younger, again, this will sound terrible, but, when they're infants, they lay around a lot. It's not like you can do a whole lot with them, right? But I realized in that moment that I'm going to miss everything. I'm going to miss field trips. I'm going to miss plays. I'm going to miss the dress-up days. Right now, the way things are going, I'm going to miss my daughter's life. And it was hard. It was really hard. That, for me, was a tipping point, which led me for a year and a half after that to focus working on the clinic instead of in it. And the next day, I went in and decided I'm not seeing patients anymore. I'm going to work on the business instead of in it. And, the business didn't do well. We tanked right away because I didn't know what I was doing. It was just I had a lot of passion behind it, but it wasn't executed the right way. So, again, any decision made from a place of fear, I've learned, is oftentimes the wrong decision. But the takeaway from that was it was good intentions executed poorly, and as we've already discussed, you can be busy, not productive, and you can have great intentions and fail miserably. So a great length of time was spent looking for consultants and for medical practice people or advisors to do what we're currently doing right now. And believe me when I tell you, I scoured through the United States, and I could not find anybody. All of them were the same. It was, do this, buy that, here's more equipment, here's this, here's that. And there wasn't anything. There was nothing out there that was just on the business of medicine. It's almost like it was a dirty word. Like teachers, you're supposed to love what you do, but God forbid you should ask to be paid more. And as a doctor, everything goes around patient care. Which is great, and I get that's what we do, and that's where our passion is, and that's what we're designed for. I get it, but at some point, at the end of the day, somebody's got to eat, right? Meaning you. And no one teaches business. And so for the next probably 2 years, 3 years, I hunted for those people, and it didn't exist, which led me to hire a $35,000 a month CEO, which was way beyond any consultant would ever charge. And man, did we explode after that for reasons I've already shared. So my tipping point, again, was I hit a point in time where I just said, look, enough's enough. There's no tomorrow. There's no maybe. There's no I should. There's no it would be neat. That's enough. And we got to go. So I spent a year and a half implementing everything that I hope to share with you. And when I did that, I now work 10 to 12 hours a week at that practice, and I've taken on about ownership in another 15, maybe at this time, with I don't even know how many other practices we consult with and work with. There's a lot in a lot of states, and it's very fun. It's not that hard because a lot of the challenges are the same. And when you understand them and you've been down that road before, you can provide a lot of wisdom on which direction. The most important thing or the greatest thing of value is to have somebody to shorten your learning curve, to say, hey, here's the road ahead. Here's what's going to happen to you. And this is a promise. Do this or else. Imagine in life how many times you've done things either in medicine or in business where you think, God, if I'd have had somebody that could have saw that coming and told me, I would have saved this much time or this much energy or this much money. I don't know about you. And if you haven't said that, in my humble opinion, you either haven't done anything or you're a liar. Because I don't know a damn doctor who's successful that has not had that type of stuff happen, right? They say greatness courts failure. And the only way you get to greatness is by taking chances. And if you don't have somebody to help guide you, then you're either running on luck or you're a hell of a lot smarter than any doctor I've come across in 15 years. And with that in mind, the ability to see the road ahead is hard to put a price on. So when someone can tell you, and again, for those doctors out there, easy example, if you're seeing 200 people a week and you've got 20 staff members or 15, and the doctor's just starting out, I know you've talked to other doctors who are younger in practice, and they're asking you questions, and you smile and think, man, I remember that happened to me. I wish I had somebody to tell me blank. And I didn't, so here's what happened, right? That's where you are right now. You're just at different levels of the game. And I'm not saying that I'm better than you or I have all the answers. That's not the case at all. What I am saying is I paid people a lot smarter than me, a lot more money than you're ever going to have to pay to figure it out at a global level, and now I'm able to share it. And again, it's unremarkable what happens. So I would encourage you to take a moment. If you need to, sit back, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and ask yourself, am I the kind of father, the kind of wife, the kind of husband I should be? Am I the kind of doctor? Is this a practice I'd always dreamed it would be? When I go to it, I'm excited. When I wake up in the morning, am I ready to go, or do I need coffee because I think, ready to meet the day? And I don't have to sell you on it. You know. And if you do know, the only question left is, do you want to continue with it, or do you want something better? So I can't speak for you, but I want something better. And here I am, and I'm grateful for it. Ideally, what we do is give you a strategy for success. And very specifically, what's going to happen is you're going to get a game plan, and you're going to sign off on a game plan, meaning not only can I do it, it's realistic, and I'm excited about it. So the critical thinking, what makes it so great is you don't get a nonsense game plan. And what I mean is, I've had other consultants come in to my own practice and say, hey, we can do this and promise this or use these ads, and everybody's selling something. The fact is, the guy that sells me TV commercials, he can't tell me if they're going to work. He can't tell me the phone's going to ring. And if the phone doesn't ring, he's not out anything. He gets a commission. I'm out a lot of money. Same thing with the newspaper and the print, or the guy that sells the newest laser for pain or for dermatology or whatever it may be. The fact is, you don't know. They don't know. Let me tell you exactly how you do know and how you can guarantee it. And I actually said guarantee it. You know, and I know, every state in the United States, right, you have contracted fees either in or out of network with what every CPT code pays. We know what you get paid. You know what you get paid. All you got to do is pull an EOB. I'll tell you in 5 minutes. And if you don't know, I'll look up your contract for you, and I'll tell you what you get paid, right? We find out what you want to do, and then we do more of what you want to do. That's one way, right? And you come up with a strategic plan, again, that's measured and monitored. Most of you don't know what you pay for patients. And you say, I don't market at all. I'm so busy right now, I can't imagine what I'd do if I was busy. I'm too busy. If you're that busy, then why don't we have an associate in the office, and why aren't you sitting at home, right? There's an easy answer. So if the associate does more and produces more, would you take your same pay to not work? I mean, most of you would say, yeah, I'll do that. If it was real, sure. But you may not know how to do it. Or you may say, yeah, I've tried that. It never works. I know that when you say things like it never works, I've tried it twice, it doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that what you tried didn't work. If you ask yourself, is it possible it can be done and maybe I didn't do it the right way? The answer should be yes. If the answer is anything other than no, it's not a real answer, right? Believe me, it works. That would mean otherwise every doctor on the planet would be a one practice or a one doctor practice. Don't tell me it can't be done. If we're going to do this, let's be real, let's be honest. You couldn't do it. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It doesn't mean you're bad. It means be smart enough to ask for help, right? Get the right people to guarantee it. So now that we know what you're paid, right, we can track and measure how often you do things. We come up with protocols to do more of what you like and what you get paid for and less of what you don't. Or we farm out what you don't to another office or to an associate, either a part-time or a locum tenens. Believe me, where there's a will, there's a way. We got to get resourceful, and we find a way. That's how we can guarantee a dollar amount on your profits, what you're going to make, what the overhead is, in every capacity. We take a program, and then we modify the program. So my job or our job is to say, here's what you're currently doing with your neuropathy patients, with your arthritis patients, with your knee patients, your shoulder patients, your brain, your epilepsy patients, your derm patients, right, your family practice people. Here's how many people you're sending out for this condition and this condition. Here's what we could bring to the table. Here's what we can consider. Here's what we should try. Here's what we should look at. Everything is based on math, right? The beautiful thing about math is it doesn't lie and there's no emotion to it. So when we make decisions together based on math, there's no stress, right? We run the numbers. Very simply, we run the numbers. And if the numbers are there and you like it, we put in a 20% margin of error of, oh, crap, I can't believe that happened, right? And now we got it. Boom, we're off. As soon as that happens, we start. But before that, we calculate the numbers and the margins, and we don't miss. It really is that easy, guys. It's that easy. This is a win-win situation for your patients and for you. So a quick example of that is a win-win for your patients and for you. When we put in protocols, right, what we want to do is we want to put in protocols always, and hear me when I say always, within ethics and medical boundaries of what necessity is. But oftentimes doctors miss what they could do because the office isn't set up for it. They're not quite sure. They don't know what it pays or how to bill it, or they heard about it, they're just not doing it. It's my job to close that gap on everything, So we're going to bring all of it in-house, and it's set up in a way that you only pay when it's producing. So if you don't have labs in-house now, we can set up labs wholesale where you bill them when you order them, and you get paid, and you only pay if you use it. And that's it. There's no third parties, there's nothing. That's it. No upfront, no money down, no equipment. It's all free. Said yes, it's free. Believe it or not, it's free. There's training on injections, on procedures. There's cadaver labs, ultrasound, musculoskeletal ultrasound. I could go on for an hour, guys, with stuff that you could do. We just got to find stuff that you need, and it's buried. You just don't know it. So what we're going to do is just keep trucking along. And, again, with each independent practice, we dive into that with each practice, and we're going to come up with several options or treatment protocols or potential ideas. The doctors always say, I love this, I'm not sure on this, I don't want this, and we keep narrowing it down, and we put it into a protocol. We tie it to a CPT code, to a procedure, and then we got it. But ultimately, it leads to better care for the patients. A lot of doctors are really good doctors, but they're really poor business people, and that's okay. It's quite okay. Listen, if you were great business people, you wouldn't be doctors. And I don't know about you, I've had a ridiculous amount of schooling. I'm board certified in multiple things, and none of them were business classes. And the doctors that are really good in business either make an astronomical amount of money, right? And some of them are just, charismatic, and they're good people person, I guess you'd say, but they're charismatic and likable as well. So a lot of doctors that are really likable and charismatic build really big practices, but they're really poor business people, which is a shame because those are the ones that we could double their practice. Like in 90 days, you can double it. There's other doctors that are phenomenal clinicians and doctors. Their skill set is really something. It's unparalleled to other providers. But their personality is just, they're kind of a sourpuss. And it's not that they're a bad person. It's just, they're not fun to be around. They're the kind of person you don't want to get stuck next to at a party. If they don't have a big practice, or you don't have a big practice, and even if you're charismatic but you don't have a big practice, or if you're not the kind of person that likes to market and you're doing okay but you don't have a big practice, then we do market for you. So we have several things we can do marketing-wise if you need patients. that we can bring people to you on. And again, if patients aren't coming by referral, we simply buy them. We market and we buy them. But here's what's cool. We find out what the cost of a patient is, what you want to do for a patient, what your case average is, what the patient collections and acquisition is, right? And now we have a dollar value to what a patient is worth, what your overhead is, and what it costs for a patient, which brings us right back to math. I can take you to $20 million, to $2 million, to $1 million, to $5,000 simply by that mathematical equation. And doctors just don't do it. They don't do it not because they're not smart enough. We don't think that way. I consider myself pretty savvy because I was ahead of most other doctors I knew. So every doctor has friends that are doctors, right? We all do. And all of us kind of know how our friends' practices are, even if they're in other states, how big they are, how small they are, kind of what they're doing or how they're doing. And, you know if you're a lot bigger or smaller or about the same size. And for me, I was always a lot larger than everybody else. And I don't say that to impress you. I say it to impress upon you that because I was larger, it was really hard for me to find help because you can always get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And I had people calling me, and it was fun to help them, but I couldn't find anybody to help me. Doing this process and duplicating it and making it duplicatable was what made it so fun. But every single person in the room, on the webinar, on the planet, has the ability to double their practice. I promise you, once we start, you'll be shocked at just how easy this is. It really is not that difficult. You just have to know how to do it. It's like anything else in medicine or in life. It's hard because you don't know. And to take time to figure it out is overwhelming because you're so busy. But when somebody hands you the map, there's nothing to it. Now we just go. Common practice troubles I see in doctors: coding, codes, payments, modifiers, billings, protocols we've covered, lack of systems and protocols, documentation and regulations, compliance. If you're not currently paying somebody to audit you, we'll assist with that. So someone will audit your files to make sure you're compliant. Your files have what they need to protect you from paybacks, which is critical nowadays. Training and managing your staff. Again, we can help with that, assisting with that. And understanding patients and patient needs, what your patients want. People are people, guys, are the same everywhere. You'd be surprised at what they want that you don't know. And some of you are really in tune with what they want. And some of you in tune with what would be great but may not be possible, right? And I shouldn't say that. There's nothing that can't be done. Some people would say it'd be great to have a cappuccino bar. Well, we can have a cappuccino bar, but if it costs us $15 a patient, the question is, are you willing to take a pay cut for it? Most people, the answer is no, but if you want a cappuccino bar, we'll put one in. My point is there's nothing that can't be done, and the practice troubles are common amongst all of us with the same types of things. Some of you will be new patients and revenue depending on where you're at in practice. If you're newer, or if you've been out for a while and just done okay, it doesn't mean that you don't need help. Common revenue boosters, marketing or patient retention and referrals. A lot of you don't keep patients, and some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. It's foreign, which it surprises me, but some people don't know what a patient visit average is, meaning they don't know how many times the average person comes to their practice. They don't know what they get or how much money they collect every time the average person comes in. They don't know what the average collections are per patient when offset against their overhead or their staff. They don't know how to increase their collections by offering procedures or services to patients that aren't currently getting them. Keep in mind, what makes you a better doctor is your ability to offer more to people, to your patients. Offer more. It doesn't mean you have to do it, and it doesn't mean they have to accept it. What people are grateful for is an ear, a doctor that listens. They want to be heard, and they want solutions, but they have to be guided. You can't just say we can do A, B, C, D, E, and give a whole bunch of crap they can't understand. Now they're just overwhelmed, right? One option is not an option. Two options is a dilemma. Three options, and now we got somewhere to go, something to put our teeth into and make some decisions together. So they want to know. You got to learn how to talk to them, and some of you don't know how to do that. Some of you are great at it. Offering patients options and care makes you a better provider, and it makes the quality of care you have better, which increases you organically. It makes you more proud. You feel better. You help more people. And when we start to do that, we're going to find holes in your practice on conditions and services or things that you should do to people or could do to people, but you can't. Either you don't know how to do, and we bring in somebody else, part-time, a day a week, a day a month, or it's a service that needs to be done, and you're interested in it, so let's train you. We'll train you to do it, and we'll add the service. I mean, none of us knew how to do anything about sleep medicine, but we had enough people that were tired in our practice. We do pain management. People were tired all the time. And, we didn't know what to do about it, and it was frustrating. So we opened a sleep lab. We would get a report from a hospital, and the hospital report would say, hey, this patient's not apneic, and they snore a lot. And I thought, hell, I don't care if they snore. I'm not sleeping with them. It doesn't matter to me, man. I need to know why they're tired. And so we cross-referenced a sleep lab with a hormone doctor or endocrinologist and a hematologist, and all of a sudden from that we had born programs or protocols for fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And it changed the lives of I can't tell you how many people. It was just incredible. But what was really eye-opening is none of the doctors independently knew what to do. They all knew about the information, but nobody knew how to put it together. It wasn't until every different specialty sat down and had kind of a meeting of the minds that this program was born. And that's how most of the programs and services, we probably have 15 of them are born, which help boost your revenue. So again, I don't want to talk just about money, but some of these patients don't know where to go. And you send them to a specialist because you don't know what else to do. And the specialist they go to, they don't really know what to do either. And they help a little bit. And you see the patient back and they put them on Lyrica. And you think, hell, I could have put them on Lyrica. That's all you got? It's because it is all they got. They got nothing else, right? So we have revenue centers or service centers for fibromyalgia, for chronic fatigue, for neuropathy, for neck pain, back pain, arthritis, osteoarthritis of the shoulder, hip, knee. We have stem cells, PRP, regenerative medicine, hormone balancing for women, for men, low testosterone, podiatry service centers, durable medical equipment, Medicare certifications within durable medical equipment. I could go on and on. Headache centers, in which nobody has. I promise you, there are a few things that we can teach and show you. You will be the only person in your area offering this, and there'll be more people and more patients to see you than you can handle, which is a good thing because, as we spoke about, with the right systems and protocols, we'll hire staff. You can sit home and somebody else will do it. Why we put it on, or why we do physicians business management, higher revenue. When we start to build your practice and adding services, whether it's marketing, branding, PR to bring more patients in, or higher case averages or more complex patients, whether it's surgical or whatever the case may be, higher revenue is a focus. Number 2 focus, a customized approach for your practice featuring personalized consultations or personalized touch. So when we zero in on the unique practice challenges that you have, we're going to come up with a customized approach for just your practice. This is not a template. That is not a one-fits-all. All of you have the same needs, but you have different needs, if that makes sense. In other words, all of you have the same need, which is you have to bill what you did today out to get paid. The different need is some of you do your own billing. Some of you have somebody else that does the billing. Some of you have never looked at your billing to see how efficient it is. Are you paying a reasonable rate? What's your collection ratio? What's your account receivable? How many people are paying at the front desk? What's your loss rate? How much money are you losing, right? And a lot of you haven't looked at it. In fact, I'd venture to say almost everybody here listening right now hasn't, right? So you could say it's the same because you all need billing, but it's also very unique and specific for each one of you. 3, a plan that works and is up and running in 30 days. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a plan for your practice, right? And we're going to have that plan implemented in 30 days. We can't create a plan without you. What we do first is analyze your loss revenue, and holes, things that we can add and do to increase your revenue, increase your compliance, protect you from payback, increase your billings and your collections without it negatively affecting patients or patients having to pay more than we'd want them to pay out of pocket. We have to be conscious of that as well. We also have to add services or things you can do to patients to help. So we're going to come up with a lot of options. Some of them you're going to love and you're going to be over the moon thrilled with. Some of them you're going to say, that sounds really cool, but I don't know how to do it, and I don't want to get trained. So we pick it out. Some you'll like and you enjoy, some not so much. It just depends, right? But the point is we want a lot, and then we funnel that down and we craft it down. And keep in mind, while doing that, those systems and flow and procedures will be associated with CPT codes that are billable, right, that you can reference on the Medicare website. Don't believe me, look on the Medicare website. Look in the CPT book, you'll see them. Okay? Upon doing that, we now have a dollar value based on what you're paid that, for lack of a better word, will guarantee you what you're going to be doing. All right? So if we find I'm just going to throw numbers out, $300,000 in your practice, and we say, okay, we can probably recover this money, or we can probably, start to treat and change procedures to get this money that you're currently losing or add it to the practice. If you start doing these things instead, we're going to be able to bill these services that you're not billing. We'll see this money in X amount of days, weeks, or months. And again, the reason you can guarantee that is you take the number of patients that qualify or need it, right? Let's say we want to add orthotics or DME to a practice or an injection to a practice. Here's what those pay. Here's how many people need it, right? You multiply the two together, and that's the dollar amount. You take that times 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, a decade, whatever it may be. It boils down to a mathematical equation, all right? So I hope you see where I'm going with that. That'll be up and running in 30 days. At that point, you'll sign off on it, and there's nothing left to do now but pick out a beach house. Number 4, your satisfaction is guaranteed. So if after 30 days of working with us, your satisfaction is guaranteed, which means we're going to pay for ourselves. This is not going to cost you any money at all, and we guarantee that. It will not cost you any money. So in other words, if our fees are $50,000 or $10,000, depending on what you want, the fees change. If you say add a sleep lab, that's maybe a 90-day job, and there's nothing left to do after that. Your sleep lab's up and running. That's a different price point. If you say, I'd like to find an associate or train an associate, or I need a manuals, I need a front desk manual, I need phone training, I need whatever it may be. Your satisfaction on it is guaranteed, which means we're going to come up with a plan. And we're going to guarantee that when we start this, anything that you do will pay for any services that we would charge. So our service is in essence free. In other words, just to keep the math easy, if our fee is $50,000, we want a plan in place that within the end of the year or the end of our contracted time together or time together that we're going to be working, you should have recovered enough money to pay for us plus a substantial amount more. And again, somebody might say, how is that possible? How can you guarantee anything? Well, an easy example, again, if I say, can you add this procedure ethically to your practice and will it help patients? And you say yes. That procedure pays you $10. And you do that 10 times, that means you've collected $100 either a day or a week. If I charge you $50, you do it 10 times and collect $100, you got $100, you pay me $50, you're up $50. That's a very simplistic example of exactly what I mean. So you'll have a guarantee you're going to see exactly what you're going to do and get, right? Now you have to implement it, but we're going to be on calls with you and meetings with you to hold you accountable and to help you with any shortcomings or challenges. And believe me when I tell you, we have the ability to see the road ahead. So really what people are paying for, or doctors are paying for when they take us on, is not just the latest and greatest thing to help patients and make money. I mean, those are nice and they're always fun and it adds a lot of excitement. What they really want is they need the accountability, right? So intellectually, I know that every person listening right now understands this. I know you guys get it. There's no way you cannot get it. I know you do. However, what you still need is you need somebody to hold you accountable, and then as you're doing it, help solve problems and challenges that are going to come up. So, example, if you say, I want to treat this condition, or I see a lot of this condition, and I say, there's 5 more things we can do that will help those patients, and you say, great, and you want to start them off, what's going to happen is you're going to run into different challenges or different problems along the way, and every office is different, so there are going to be different problems or challenges that you're going to hit walls on. It's our job or my job to solve them for you within a phone call, right? So we're off and running again. I don't want you stopped or stagnant. And again, is it because I'm a genius? No. It's because there's not a lot of problems doing this that I haven't already seen and figured out with other doctors. And the problems are going to remain the same. We're PBM's exclusive 5-step process to succeed. So in essence, what's going to happen is this. We start off with a discovery call or discovery discussion. So we need to speak a little bit about what your goals and outcomes are. We'll schedule this so we do not miss the call or play phone tag on a time that's convenient for you with whatever works best for you. That call should not take that long, but we need to find out exactly what you need, what you're looking for, and what you want. What's possible, in other words. Can we do this? Is this a realistic expectation? And then we want to date it. What's the time frame this could be possible by? As soon as we discover whether or not what you want is viable and it's going to work or it's something that we certainly can do and deliver in a reasonable time frame and you're excited about it, The next step is we dive into the practice a little bit to look and see what you're doing, and then we put the math to the test, which is the promise we made about finding out what's possible, what can we actually do for you, what's the revenue stream, how is it going to help patient care, and how do you back it or promise or guarantee that it's going to do what you said it's going to do. So very simply put, we want to make sure and find out what you're doing, find out what services you're offering, and we want to find holes in the practice. We want to look for things that you're not doing so we can offer solutions or suggestions to enhance or improve your care, protect you from paybacks, help you with efficiency, and increase your revenue and your collections. Features and benefits. Why us? What are the features? What makes us so great or so different? What makes us different is there's not another one out there anywhere in medicine that I'm aware of that does what we do, this comprehensive and this caliber, with the protocols laid out, again, tied to a forensic auditor who will stand behind it and say, hey, if you do this, you are protected from Medicare, from Blue Cross, from Cigna, from malpractice standpoint. This is the gold standard of medicine. Your documentation is there. Your billing is there. Your coding is there. You are spot on, right? We have that. We'll increase your service centers. So in other words, we want to come up with things or services that you can offer that you're not offering now for whatever your branch of medicine or clinic offers. That could be, again, these are just rough suggestions I'm going to throw out. Treatments for neuropathy. And while I throw these out, we don't sell equipment. There are no gimmicks. There's nothing to buy. That's it. It's just enhancing what you currently have. If you need something and it's going to make money, great, I'm all in. But if it's not going to make you money, then my belief system is put it in the bank, right? I'm not, again, saying I'm right, but I'm cheap. So if I can't make money at it, I'm not interested in it, okay? So we want to add service centers. Again, examples might be a hormone lab, blood draws, blood labs, PRP, stem cell, treatments for neuropathy, treatments for arthritis, shoulders, hips, knees, spine, neck, back, adding providers, MDs, DCs, DOs, PTs, PTAs, sleep technologists, adding the sleep lab, treatments for chronic fatigue. I could go on and on about the different things that you could add or what you could do. And for those of you that say, you know what, we've got a big practice now, a lot of people don't do what we do, then challenge me to see if I can find lost money in it and make you more either efficient or more productive than you are. The worst thing that's going to happen is we can't. And you've got the certainty that, one of the biggest groups said, hey, there's nothing else you could do, man. You're hitting it right now. Well done, you. That hasn't happened yet, but you never know. You might be the first. And to be quite honest with you, I'd like to see somebody challenge it that we can't help. We're going to follow through. We're going to assist with manuals. We have a lot of manuals and protocols, but what does not help doctors, you guys are busy now. What you don't need is a firm or a company giving you a 1,000-page manual or a flash drive with 1,000 pages on it. You're not going to read it, right? If you want stuff to read, I'll give you stuff to read, but that is not what you need. What you need are calls, steps, quick implementation to accountability. You need someone to help you do it. You don't need somebody to hand you or sell you a manual. That's not what you need. We have marketing campaigns, strategic planning, relationship building, public and branding, same types of things, affordable marketing. We have different companies or vendors that we work with throughout the United States. We don't benefit in any capacity, way, shape, or form. I don't care who you use. If they're producing and it's working and they're making money, use who you have. If they're not working, fire them and use mine. Ours always produce. We don't get anything from it, but I know they produce. And if you can tell by the conversations with how detailed I am and how I keep stats and what I measure, what I do, if they can survive me, they can survive anybody. Billing we have, and again, we don't do, but I can recommend other companies for you or to you. And again, we don't gain anything from them. So all I care about is that you're growing and benefiting, and that's it. But most of all, accountability and follow-through. So we hold you accountable. And if you can't be accountable, we're going to call you out in a grace way and say, look, this isn't getting done. And to keep the promise to you that you want, we're going to make some changes. We'll help you with that. The features and benefits of a PBM program include increasing revenue and patient care by adding service centers, structures and protocols in the office so you can track measurable results, integrating different providers and professional specialties into your practice, should you want that, expanding with condition-specific services and treatments that are covered by insurance. We do offer a lot of things and can share a lot of things with you that are cash, but not everybody can sell cash. So it's important to do things that if somebody just lays down an insurance card, the insurance covers and you get reimbursed. And in Medicare's example, 14 days. These are all Medicare compliant programs. Complete level marketing for different service centers and for the entire practice with guaranteed returns and measurable results. So, in other words, can I guarantee if you run an ad that you're going to see, 50 people? No, I can't guarantee that. What I can guarantee and share with stats are, hey, when utilizing this ad or this piece of marketing, we have 50 offices right now doing it. This guy's doing the worst. This guy's doing the best, right? Somewhere in the middle you should fall. And we always test something small first to make sure it's going to produce before we go all in on anything to protect your money like crazy, right? It's critical. We don't just launch stuff on hope. Hope don't float. If your practice is currently struggling financially or maybe getting by, maybe it's slipping away from you a little bit, slowly but surely into financial demise, that's when you know you must seriously think about how to correct this and now start to take steps to immediately prevent or reverse this into a downward death spiral. Maybe your practice is humming along just fine, you're doing great, and you don't think there's much else to do. There may not be, but I would encourage you at the very least to take a look, right? This is a chance to take your practice from doing well to accomplishing something that's truly special. A number of good reasons why you should listen to what I have to say. The first reason is obvious. By installing these methods and procedures into your practice, you're going to quickly increase your income, and in some cases you may be able to triple what you're now making. And again, that may sound a bit unrealistic or hard to believe, and I get it. We do millions and millions, and if somebody were to say to me, I'll triple you in 90 days, I'd have a hard time believing you're going to triple me when I'm in the millions in 90 days. But you'll be surprised on what a patient's value is, financially speaking, with carriers. So it's not uncommon to say, hey, we treat this. I see 15 neuropathy patients a week or a month, and let's say you get $1,000 per neuropathy patient with some of the systems or services we have, and if you see in 15 in a week, that's an extra $15,000 a week. That's going to add up fast over the course of a year. It's not that hard. You'd be surprised at how fast it stacks and it adds. You'd be stunned. Number 2 is more control. Learn how to take and maintain control of your practice. Make it more efficient rather than it controlling you, right? Again, systems and protocols. Rather than referring patients out to other specialists or wasting your time trying to figure out what to do it yourself and keep it in-house. Again, math rules a roost. So we'll look at it and see. If the math is there, we'll do it. If it's not, it's gone. Number three reason is freedom. If you are regularly putting in 50, 60, 70 hours, right, or more a week into the practice, and you know more than anybody how important this is, and we kind of touched on this before, if you're present, right, but not really present. A lot of you are working harder than you need to work, right? Work smarter, not harder, right? Working smarter means more efficient, better protocols, better practice habits, standing orders. You're going to earn more income, and your care is going to be better. You've got more freedom. Your spouse is happier. Reason number 4 is greater opportunity for you. So not only will you be networked in with other groups of doctors that are similar to you, you're going to come in contact, make great lasting relationships, right? You'll be able to grow your practice and expand it by the services without adding new patients. So our goal is, or one of the goals is to expand potential services or options of care, which again enhances the care, makes the care better for patients, but also brings more revenue to your practice. Now, if you don't want to add it, then don't. If you don't want to add it, then don't add it. But have the option. Understand the options. Understand the revenue it brings. Consider if you don't add it because you don't know how to do it, what if we train you? Are you willing then? And if you're not, how much is there? How many patients are there? Can we bring somebody else in to do it? Is that an option? Most of the time, one of those will be an option, right? Once you actually start adding more patients or different services to your practice, it's going to grow. Reason number 5 is security. When the time comes to sell your practice, think about how much more it's going to be worth. I promise you a practice with systems and protocols is going to be worth much, much more. Reason number 6 is greater confidence for you. When we show you how to turn your practice into a well-oiled machine that runs smoother and more efficient, you'll have more confidence. I'll take you through this process step by step. And keep in mind, Greater protocols and systems means less work. You're out of the office more, which in turn is better care, which in turn equals more freedom, more revenue. Be assured that we'll walk you through all of the core principles you need to know to implement this. This is not a manual that you read and figure out yourself. That's not going to work. You have to have somebody walk you through to make sure it delivers what you should be getting. Once you're finished, you'll have a comprehensive working knowledge of how your practice should work instead of how it currently sputters along or currently works right now. And you'll have the confidence to help each patient feel better, do better, with a longer lasting and better relationship, and a better appreciation about the services that you're providing for them. Reason number 7 is your perception among current and future patients. You'll be offering a highly valuable service that will leave your competitors behind. In other words, when you start to implement some of these service centers, no one in your area is going to be doing this. No one. You're going to be stunned at how simple some of this stuff is, and you will not believe that nobody's doing it. Think of what this could mean monetarily. So not only, again, adding services and how those dollars stack up, as simple as an injection that pays $150, right? And some of you might say an injection doesn't pay $150. They do. They do. I think the lowest paying injection I'm aware of with some of the stuff we do is $100. If you do 8 a day, let's say 10 to make it easy, it's not that hard, right? Most of you see a lot of people. 10 a day is not that big a deal. 10 a week even, right? Still $1,000 a week. 10 a day is $5,000 a week. 10 a week is going to be $1,000 a week. That's at least a $50,000 growth. You would be surprised at how fast it stacks up. You'll be more visible in your community as well. So in turn, you'll start to get referrals from other providers because their patients will be doing better now that they see what's happening and you're delivering. Reason number 8 is comprehensive knowledge. We go way and beyond to the nuts and bolts and don't just talk about theory, right? We want to teach you how to implement, right? Teach you how to educate your patients, how to overcome any objections they may have, right? To offer the care that you want to offer, to get them to go along and go ahead and do what you want to do, what you need to do to get them better. With different marketing and experience, or for a lot of you that say, I offer services to patients a lot, but they don't accept them, we can teach you how to script or protocol to pre-frame patients to get them in the right mindset so they better understand the benefits, to get them to accept care, to close care, to make sure they're doing the care they need or getting the care they need in the manner in which you want, right? Oftentimes it's a conversation piece. It's how you pre-frame the patients and them understanding the value. And again, doctors aren't trained in sales. We don't learn this stuff anywhere. Some of you just have the gift of gab and you might be able to sell, where others have the same machine and nobody wants it. It's not an accident. It's how it's being explained to the patients, how it's being referenced and pre-framed. Teach you and work with that as well. Reason number 9 is our ironclad 30-day guarantee regarding your profits and a solid plan of operation. We'll have your practice up and running smoothly in a month. And what that means by definition is, again, we want to present you with a plan, and we want to be able to come up with options that you say, hey, I'm excited about this, let's go. We'll have that up and running with a plan to be in place with no delays and no excuses within 30 days. So be a real win-win situation for you and your practice. At PBM, we're so confident in what we teach and what we do, we can get you immediate, measurable results. We can offer this satisfaction guarantee program. There's absolutely no risk on your part to give us a try. I think that is truly a win-win situation for you as well as your clinic. Reason number 10, a tax-deductible investment in your future. The tax training's tax-deductible is a business expense. So there you have it, 10 solid reasons you need to partner with us at Physicians Business Management to recreate your practice as well as your life. Life by design. Maybe you've tried other programs like this and ended up disappointed with the results, or maybe you think it's just a lot of nonsense. You may not trust me, or it's too expensive, even though we haven't got a chance to speak to you yet. Maybe you think it simply can't be done. It's too much work. Maybe your staff won't buy into it. It's too difficult, or you just don't know enough to make a good, smart decision. That doesn't surprise me. Those are great responses. We hear this all the time. The doctors that get past these roadblocks see success. Those that are halted by those roadblocks continue to struggle. So just stay with me and see how this solution is very different. This is not about a one-size-fits-all program. The good news is we take care of everything for you when it comes to running a more profitable and efficient practice with hands-on training, implementation, and a crucial follow-up. And we can do this for you in 30 days. Let me make it clear what this is not about. This is not a one-size-fits-all program. This is not a everybody gets the same manual. It's not a training guide or a classroom instruction. This is not about theories or ideas. It's not the latest fad or gimmick. There's no sales or equipment. It's not a notion when it comes to medical practice. It's practice management based upon mathematics, statistics, protocols, and systems to protect you, better your care, and impact your practice consistently, guaranteed. Physicians Business Management, or PBM, is an advisory resource for physicians like you as well, for practice managers, for members and administrative staff. We're problem solvers for your internal administrative team. Read that again. We are the problem solvers for your internal administrative team. We implement measurable protocols and results that will continue to generate. We'll show you how to leverage your authority and distribute your responsibilities in a complex and fast-moving environment like your medical practice. We're going to guide you how to automate systems and methods so you can get out of the office more and generate more growth. Now, let's take a look at what you can expect from the program. What should be happening and what will happen. We will customize and precisely fit your practice and what your patient needs are. We're going to create to make your practice more profitable through a variety of ways that we've discussed and touched on already, such as services, expanded products you offer, and finding lost money within protocols and systems that you could be doing and services you could and should be doing, quite frankly, to patients now. We're going to craft this to work well while remaining within the strict boundaries of ethical conduct. So everything, hear me when I say everything that we and you will be doing together is bound within the Medicare guidelines as the gold standard. Now, everyone's different state to state, and with that comes different jurisdiction boundaries. And believe it or not, Medicare, although it is federal, is different in different regions. So you always look at what the LCD is, or location of determination, to determine what you can and cannot do, and the guidelines or guideposts to keep you within the ethical boundaries of treatments and care. This will protect you from any paybacks. It will help you with your documentation, and it will offer better compliance to your patients. While doing this and setting up these systems and protocols, you're going to be much more automated than you are now, or you could even call them standing orders. This automation is going to make you and your staff more efficient, more effective, more accountable. This, in turn, is going to lead to increased revenue, increased productivity, more free time. What exactly do we do for you? Physician Business Management, or PBM's Medical Practice Advisory Services, focuses on the following segments of your business. We concentrate on nurturing a high level of performance by you and your staff in the complex, fast-paced medical arena. So in short, this again is not a one-piece-fits-all. Everybody's different, and your staff are all very different. There's different personalities. There's different ways we process information, and the way the information has to be explained or taught or trained. We uniquely fit that within the practice. Again, it has to work for you, it doesn't matter, right? It has to work for you. So it's tweaked and trained and customized specifically for you. We're going to deliver outstanding clinical care through superior operational procedures, again, through protocols and systems that work with a touch of forensic compliance to be sure that it's done correctly. We can install templates for you, both administrative as well as clinical templates. We can assist with documentation and lead these into your practice for better outcomes. With our ongoing program, we provide ongoing support with advisory and supervisory services and guidance identifying and placing an administrator for your practice. In essence, we'll identify an administrator within your practice, whether it's the physician, you, or key managers. We'll come up with tasks and assignments as well as measurements for accountability to make sure it succeeds. In case of a sudden or unexpected loss of leadership at your practice, we'll help stabilize and improve performance. We've had physicians that have been in auto accidents and been out for 6 months and been hospitalized. We've walked them through it. We've had doctors have staff quit and walk out is not an uncommon thing, and we replace them and retrain to make sure the practice doesn't sustain any damage. Our leadership and coaching is an advisory resource to you, to the doctors, as well as to your practice managers and the rest of your staff. We are, in essence, the problem solvers for you. Slide 57. The truth is really very simple. You need certain methods and procedures within your practice, and this is your golden opportunity to get in on the ground floor and partner with our team of experts within PBM to make sure it gets done, set up, and implemented quickly. This is why I'm so excited about this program. Quite frankly, you should be excited about this program. So let's go over once again some big reasons why this makes sense for your practice. First, you can greatly increase your revenue. If done correctly, you can dramatically increase the patients within your office, increase your practice income without adding higher numbers of new patients, without buying equipment, without spending really very much money at all. That's right. By transforming your practice and cultivating the current base of patients you have, you can greatly boost your revenue without beating the bushes for new patients. So oftentimes, when you hear your revenue is going to go up, somebody's selling a machine. We're not selling anything. You don't need machines. You don't need gimmicks. You simply need protocols installed and someone to look at what you're doing with your current patients and offer suggestions that you say, yep, this sounds great. Let's continue forward with it. Once you transform your practice into a finely tuned operation, you will be recognized as a thorough leader, elevating your prestige in the medical community and increasing your popularity with your current and future patients. You'll actually be leveling the playing field because rather than referring business out or watching while your competitors grow, you're going to flourish. You'll keep that business right where it belongs within your practice. And you'll automatically be attracting new patients through referrals at the same time. You're starting to see how exciting this is and what type of a game changer this is for your practice. The hands-on training, implementation, and follow-up along with measurable protocols and results will give your practice a clear competitive advantage because you'll be spending more time out of the office and generating growth. The likelihood of growing your practice and keeping your existence at the same time, or keeping your existing patients at the same time, will dramatically go up. As a physician, you know the importance of patient loyalty. Don't you think that implementing a better, more effective method with procedures, systems, and protocols within your practice is going to give it a competitive edge over any other physician in your area or any other competitors that you have? It will absolutely do that. PBM will set you free. How many out there would like to increase your revenue, work fewer hours, and you know how liberating that's going to be, how much freedom that's going to give you? The really cool part is with your new improved streamlined practice, you can put in fewer hours each week and still be making more money. Imagine being able to spend more time doing the things you actually want to do. Now, again, I love to work. If you love to work, then work. But my bet is you're going to want to spend some more time with friends, with family, with hobbies, with travel, more time on the golf course or a boat, whatever that may be. We just want you to succeed and have a better quality of life with better patient outcomes. If you think that this is too good to be true or you can't do this, remember, not that long ago, I was in the exact same position you're in. I used to think that it's probably as good as it's going to get. This is just how medicine is, and part of me couldn't stand that thought. I just refused to believe that there wasn't a way. So I kept digging and digging until I discovered what I'm sharing with you now. When you start to look really hard at how a practice really works or how it may not be working in your case, you realize that the methods and procedures you have are really the smoothest way to do business across the board. And then all of a sudden the light's going to come on and it's going to change your thinking throughout with everything that you do. Some of you at this point might be shaking your heads and thinking, this is all fine and good and dandy, but my practice is different. This sort of thing isn't going to work for me. And that may be true. It's quite possible it is true. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that every single person is a fit. Some of you may not be. But the fact is, a great deal of you will be. I've been doing this a long time. and I've helped practices in the multi-millions, and I've helped practices with single doctors that make $500,000 a year to $1 million a year, or that's what the practice does, and we've doubled and tripled the practice. I can share it with you, and I can tell you with certainty it's an extreme rarity that there is a practice that we can't evolve or expand. And the bottom line is every doctor that has a practice wants something more. Rarely do you see a doctor that says, everything is perfect right now, I wouldn't change a thing. And if that's you and you're watching this, then that's great. But if you're me, you realize how good things are and they can always be better. How do I find that person, that company, that leader that can help get me to that place? The fact is the training that we have at PBM works no matter what type of medical practice you have. It doesn't matter if it's medical, surgical, chiropractic, or a medley of all of them, or an integrated practice. Over the years, we've worked with virtually every kind of doctor, from pediatricians to pain management specialists to allergies to asthma, all types of clinics, podiatrists. Our systems and methods are created to work for any type of medical practice. And again, because they're customized, they're built on what's already in your practice. That's what makes it so miraculous. It's built on what you currently have now, not what you could do or where you should be, but what you have and what's possible from that. What we can add is the easy part. So again, you can absolutely turn your practice into a real business the same way I did. You do not need to possess any magical powers. You might be wondering, who am I and why should you be listening to me? Like I said, I'm a doctor just like you. I had the same doubts, and you may now have, but I gave it a try. In fact, if you remember right, I gave it a $35,000 a month try with a Fortune 500 CEO, and that's a gamble. Believe me when I tell you, I've met hundreds of physicians like you who doubted what PBM could do or what was possible, and once they got on board and they started, they became believers. Again, we don't accept you into the program if we can't grow you. If we can't meet your outcome and we can't deliver what it is that you want, we don't take you on. So that would mean that, in essence, every single provider within our umbrella grows. And within that umbrella, again, we have buying groups, so you'll be entitled to discounted rates we have with very large medical companies. And we get nothing for it. We just say, hey, we have this many doctors buying these products consistently, and we're able to negotiate better rates through buying groups. For some doctors, with as much as they buy, reduced rates, and that alone is worth being attached to us. We've helped other doctors do a variety of things, again, from putting into a surgical room to becoming credentialed in different networks to becoming DME certified by Medicare. Remember, our commitment and our promise is to make sure that we can help you first before we begin, that what you want to do, we can deliver. And if we take you on, we can deliver it. Today we're going to pull back the curtain and expose you to the tip of the iceberg, a revolutionary way and a wonderful way of running a medical practice. In just a few months from now, I want you to look back and say, today was the day that was a tipping point for me. I'm going to be very honest. This is not an easy step. It is absolutely doable, and you can do it. Our program is not for the weak of heart, for the undisciplined, for those who may be looking for a shortcut to success. There is no easy path to an additional $1 million. It comes through systems, protocols, and consistency. There are philosophical and operational changes you must make to the way your practice operates. And radical changes like this are never easy. However, should you make those changes, they will pay off. That is not to say that your practice or your belief system or your philosophy has to become something you don't want it to be. At no point in time should you or will you ever lose who you are, your identity as a doctor, your beliefs, or what aligns you, your values to the practice. Those are what make you great. We want to harness those. We want to take what you currently do and offer suggestions to enhance it. After our initial no-charge evaluation of your practice, we're going to sit down with you and go over what we are going to do. And this work can be somewhat intensive, but the real beauty is within a few days, you will begin to see an immediate earth-shaking change in the way you look at your practice and the way it runs. In fact, we have several doctors that have been with us for several years. What really evolves is a pattern of thinking and how you evaluate situations and what you look at and how you assess different things, and that will spill over into the rest of your life. It'll spill over into everything that you do. You'll find that you have a tendency to focus on outcomes rather than the process, which is when you really start to make headway. Either way, I will make 100% sure that once all of your principles are implemented and working and you are absolutely comfortable with the new way of doing things within your practice, we work with you step by step to get through in the design, the implementation, the verification, and then maintaining that. That's because our programs have all been created to be a turnkey system. With proven systems and procedures installed within your practice, you will no longer be chained to the practice. In fact, you'll be able to get to travel, have fun, and ultimately, our programs are meant to give you and your staff significantly more freedom. Did you know that the average doctor right now is typically $400,000 in debt? They have student loan debt, staff payroll, office rent, equipment, insurance, their house, cars, children's education. Don't get me wrong, I'm not afraid of debt. Not at all. But we want to make the debt constructive, right? And we want to leverage it. And once we do that and harness it, it's not a bad thing. We want to dance with it. Now, here's the scary part. The average physician is 2 months away from filing for bankruptcy. That puts a tremendous amount of pressure of strain on each one of you. That's why I want to show you a better way to run your practice. You can become debt-free over the next few years should you choose. You can see less patients and increase your revenue to do the things that you want to do. All of you should have a reserve or slush fund, and if you don't, again, then we want to look at some of your operations or your overhead or what's happening. But you should have a reserve account so you find peace at night when you sleep without any stress. The really smart doctors, which you have to be in order to survive nowadays, are leveraging all of their assets. You need to think very differently than you do now. Each one of you have assets in your business that I guarantee you are not using. And I don't mean a piece of equipment. There are numerous ways that you can make your practice more efficient and more productive. Our job is to pull and extract that out and show you how. If I were to walk in your practice tomorrow, I'll bet you anything I could find between $500,000 and $1 million in assets within your practice that's sleeping or dormant that is just not being handled. It's these sleeping assets that we're going to leverage to bring back your freedom, boost your income, and make your practice more stable. You might be wondering, what are these assets? First, there's your patient database. How many patients do you have in your database right now? Do you realize that each one of these patients is worth thousands of dollars to you, especially if they continue to come back for regular checkups, exams, procedures, or other services you have? Now that you think about how much more these patients are worth to you, what if each one of those patients or some of those patients started to refer other patients in? So we have to think big. We want to think globally. What if we were to add a service that you frequently see at your office, but you aren't maximizing now? It would be a better quality care, better service to your patients, and generate more income to you and your practice. Other assets you have in the office? Your staff. Right? You're already paying on them now. Why not utilize the staff as an asset for a higher return on your investment? You have untapped assets in your practice right now that you need to start to think differently on. The idea behind our training is the ability to maximize the assets that you already have and make them more productive and more efficient. I can't tell you how many doctors we speak to that have a lot of staff, and the staff say they're busy, but the doctors really don't know how the staff spends their time or what they do all day. Are they really productive or are they busy? Is what they're doing really effective or efficient? A lot of times we'll interview the staff and ask them, well, why do you do that? And they say, well, that's how I was trained, or that's the way the doctor wants it. We'll ask, it doesn't seem very efficient or effective to do it that way. Do you feel it is? And they hesitantly smile and say, no, that's just what I was told. The fact is, a lot of you are busy and aren't paying attention to small things that make big differences over the course of a year. So I'm here to push you so you can see past your imaginary self-imposed limitations. I have a mission. I want the doctors to get their freedom back so they can put their family first instead of being distracted and worried about their practice or being a slave to the practice. Now, I want to tell you who our program is not for. If you're barely hanging on and the investment in the program would bring you to financial distress, this is not for you, at least not at this time. If you're looking for a quick get-rich solution, this is not for you. What I mean by that is I have a knack for finding a lot of money to practice, and someone might see that and say, great, let's just do it right away. And it oftentimes doesn't. It just doesn't work that way. You won't find success doing that. It's not a get-rich-quick solution. It's a specific plan that's targeted that will produce results month in and month out with consistency when exercised. If you're not very busy and we find money in the practice, but again, it brings stress, that makes it more difficult, and I would not recommend it at this time. PBM is in the business of totally reinventing your practice. We specialize in transforming your practice, making it more profitable and stable by implementing tested systems and procedures that have worked for hundreds of your colleagues. This training is for you if you meet the following criteria. You understand that this is not a seminar, not the latest gimmick, it's not about a manual, it's not about a training video. These are proven, time-tested strategies, protocols, and systems that successful doctors incorporate into their practices everywhere. Just to be clear, once again, your practice is a business, and you need to recognize there are problems within your practice that need to be addressed, corrected, adjusted, and streamlined. This is definitely for you if you have a growth mindset and you are not willing to settle for the limitations of your current practice. This is for doctors who understand the value of programs, of systems, protocols. It's an investment that's going to pay for itself many, many times over. In fact, with our guarantee, you'll be seeing results in 30 days. And these results are going to continue as long as the program is in place and you continue to implement and do what you should be doing. This is designed for doctors who are willing to listen, make changes in the way they're currently doing business. Our systems will show you the importance of spending a few hours less working in your practice and a few hours more working on your practice. If your practice is doing fine right now and you just don't think you want to take on any other radical changes at this time, but maybe later, that's fine. But if your practice is currently stuck in neutral, or if it's doing okay, if you're working harder to keep up with your revenue stream, man, it's been flatlining a bit or it's up and down, but it's not consistently growing, and you're looking for a way to transform or potentially reinvent the practice, then you do need PBM as a partner with you. Again, we'll find out what your beliefs and values are. Ours will align with yours, and we'll implement a strategic plan to increase the practice. Another question that I frequently get from doctors is, I have a small practice. Will this still work for me? And the answer is yes, it definitely will. It's not the size of your practice that matters. I've worked with physicians in small towns, with small practices, small doctors, or doctors with several locations as well. The one thing they have in common is they have a vision of what their practice could be like. They know what it is now. They know that it's possible to get something better. They just don't know how to grasp it. And they continually say over and over again, I know there has to be something more, I can't find it. I can't find anything that's going to measure results consistently, something that's going to guarantee growth consistently, something that's going to help patient care the way I want to render patient care, something that will help patients the way I want to and still produce revenue. That's when it becomes exciting. Besides the revenue building and the medical consulting, think about how much personal and professional satisfaction, the recognition from peers and patients, the elevated status that you're going to enjoy with a thriving, growing, prosperous practice. Not to mention the sale of the practice down the road or when you're ready is worth significantly more, well, than any stock you're going to buy, that's for darn sure. I assure you that physicians' business management programs will pay for themselves. In fact, we don't take you on unless it pays for itself. That way any financial stress is immediately removed. Again, based on the math, we guarantee it. We'll take you to a level where your practice and your income you never thought were possible. Understanding that our programs are much, much more than the next bright, shiny object. It is not a scheme, sleight of hand, or the latest trend. It's real and it works. Most doctors are stressed and worried, frustrated. They merely rearrange things, and like rearranging chairs on the Titanic's deck, they never get entirely different ship. So let's consider all the wrong places physicians normally look for answers. Wrong answer number one, the hot idea of the month. You can buy the next new piece of equipment, the next new piece of marketing, the next new gimmick, the next new package as fast as they can sell them. And believe me, there are coaches or consultants out there that are packing them up and decorating them real pretty, and they'll sell them to you. Why do you think the medical profession welcomes the next opportunity so eagerly? It's because the answer is never found in a specific thing, right? Hot ideas are never going to work. The way that you build a practice with success is consistency. It's really not a mystery. It's consistent steps taken on a daily basis. That's the very definition of success. Consistency, doing the right thing on a regular basis. I'm going to plan, working the plan, and staying with it. We'll teach you how to transform your practice using a complete and comprehensive system. Again, catered to your practice. When you partner with PBM, you now own something that's going to add equity and value to your practice. The result is going to be a totally, radically different, unique experience than what you've had in the past. From the fundamental flaws of a traditional medical practice, from increasing frustrating aloneness and a sense of overwhelm so that it fatigues even successful doctors. Invest in something that's going to add significant value to your practice, something that's going to grow it. Remember, something that's measurable. There are only a few escape routes promoted to doctors, and most physicians have tried them and found them unsatisfactory. But they still keep trying them again and again and again, hoping that they're different. I'll let you in on a secret, guys. They're not. Like you and me, most doctors are finding that the new things out there, the operating systems out there, it's just the same stuff in a different wrapper. What makes physician business management so different or so unique is, again, I've been where you are now. I know the frustration and the pain of running a practice. I still run several practices. It's like being on a treadmill. You keep trying to run harder to correct imperfections and weakness in ways that you operate your business, but you seem to be running in place and getting nowhere. I've tried everything and found out all the different secrets of what works and what doesn't work. One of the biggest benefits we bring to the table is, again, shortening your learning curve. I've had the unfortunate experience of having a lot of money and paying for a lot of things that sounded great and didn't work, and it's quite frankly been a very expensive lesson oftentimes. So I cannot tell you how often I've looked back and thought, wow, that would have been a nice heads up, or been good to have that information before that happened. And there wasn't anybody there to provide it. There was no one to give me the road ahead. And as far as I know and I can see, there is no one out there now to do that. So what we have are, again, years of experience with years in several offices, large and small, throughout the United States, all over. And with that many doctors in contact, we can see the road ahead, and we know what's going to work. We know it's not going to work. I can tell you problems you're going to have before you have them. And I can tell you how to fix them before they start. Not because I'm a genius, because it's already happened to me. It's just like raising a kid, right? When you raise a kid, you think in your head, if I could just get you to do this and listen, it would be so much smoother. And I hope that we have the opportunity to help you without you finding out the hard way. The time to make an investment in your future is today. And the right decision to make is to sit down with us at PBM, let us assess your practice, and then find ways to improve it. A professional practice enriching program like this could net as much as 6 to 7 figures in additional income the first year alone. That is absolutely not an unrealistic expectation. The most common number is as little as $500,000 and as much as $1 million. So let's say we find $800,000 in income in your practice. And no matter how hard we try, I think 100% and just absolute perfection is oftentimes unattainable. But if we find $800,000 and we only do 50%, right, the first year, that's a $400,000 increase to you. It'd be pretty hard to believe that you'd turn your nose up at that and not be over the moon with success and excitement. So when we're doing these plans, we build in contingencies because, again, 100% success is not obtainable. So we build in contingencies on what is achievable and what's real, and we measure it. Because of the unique nature of what we offer at PBM, we want to make sure that you fully understand what it is and what we bring to the table. And it's important that you understand that this is not some kind of marketing event or mastermind, nor is it some kind of publicity stunt. We work hand in hand with you or your staff if you designate when it comes to the training and the implementation and the follow-up. We put in place metrics to make sure this is absolutely measurable and then hand you the reins as soon as you're ready to take them in full, that is. But anything that you can measure, you can monitor, which means we can grow it and we can guarantee the results. This is a real education for doctors who want to dramatically improve how they do business and want to enhance their practice. We're going to put systems in place. We're going to assist you in putting systems in place and methods that will allow you to measure the effectiveness and produce results quickly. If you're not satisfied with the program, or in your judgment this program does not pay for itself within 30 days, tell us and you'll receive a full refund. Again, we will not take you on unless the math shows we're going to pay for ourselves and you're going to be well ahead, right? It's really a no-risk opportunity. So the question then becomes, why wouldn't you do it? And to be quite honest, everybody that speaks to us hasn't. Keep in mind, PBM training is only meant for serious doctors who radically want to improve their current practice and their quality of life with a desire to constantly elevate their professional standing. We're going to improve your quality of care. We're going to improve your care standards. We're going to improve what you do with patients. We're going to improve your protocols, your systems at every level across the board. You'll keep staff longer. You'll have less turnover. So the practice will run more efficient and much smoother than it currently does now. As a medical professional with a track record of success, my normal fee for this kind of training program could easily run into the high 5-figure or even 6-figure range. And there are many financing options available. The next step is to make sure this is a perfect fit for you and your practice. So click on the link to schedule your no-cost, no-obligation discovery call. Practice Business Management will schedule a representative to make sure this is a good fit for you. There's no cost for the call. There are no obligations. There's nothing to sign. This is just simply a way to make sure this is going to be a comfortable fit for you and that what you want, we can deliver, as well as answer any questions that you may have that haven't been answered already. Step out of your comfort zone and learn from professionals who have been there where you are right now and discover an entirely new way to grow bountiful profits while bringing innovative ideas to your practice. As a medical colleague, I am 100% confident this opportunity will expand your professional horizons. I will stand behind this training and follow it up. It is far and away the most comprehensive and thorough program of its kind without exception. We've been doing this for a long time. So I've been able to fine-tune the training to make sure that you have the skills and the preparation necessary to transform your practice. With the proper training, guidance, direction, and knowledge, you will absolutely enhance your practice and change your life professionally and personally. This is very hands-on. It is customized to you. It is not a cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all. It truly goes way and beyond the revenue boost for your practice. You'll have more freedom to make more choices on your terms. You'll have increased revenue. You'll have better patient care, more comprehensive care. If you're eager to apply to PBM today, but things are a little tight right now, I understand. Affordable financing programs for this are available. I do not want the cost of the training program or any of the service centers that you want to add to stand in your way. So please click on the button right now to find out more details about the financing. If you're amongst one of the first 10 doctors to sign up for PBM's medical practice advisory services, you will receive a $1,000 free practice analysis to show you the details on how we can help transform your practice. Again, if you are among the first 10 doctors to sign up for PBM's medical practice advisory services, you will receive a free $1,000 analysis to show you the details on how you can transform your practice. Of course, you could take a pass and say no to this opportunity and continue being a slave to your current situation with the modest or stagnant revenue from constantly backlogging in your office and disgruntled staff and more paperwork and general dissatisfaction of where you are in your career. You could resign yourself to the fact that most will continue to see you as a doctor and you have a lot of potential. Your income is stymied with little hope of change and becoming something that's truly remarkable, truly special. Or you could say, yes, I know there's something more. I'm tired of where I'm at. Somebody has to do something, right? Let's look at what are you really afraid of? What are you scared of? You can't say I'm afraid it won't work because we won't take you on unless we can prove it pays for itself and you're going to be well ahead financially. You can't say the methods won't work for my patients because the methods are all based on medicine and medical protocols under the guidelines of the current insurance carriers as well as Medicare with forensic auditors signing off on the care. You can't say it won't work for your patients. If your patients are in the United States, it works for your patients, period. You can't say it costs too much because it pays for itself. You can say, I don't want to get better. I don't know who would say that or why. You could say, I'm afraid I can't do it. That may be the only valid response out there. I'm afraid I can't do it. Well, then we need to find a way for you to do it, which, again, it's a customized program. It moves at your pace, not ours. It's not a classroom you attend. It's done on your time, your hours, with a customized approach to get you where you need to be. It's not a race. There is no reason to not start now. Or you could say yes to this challenge. Partner up with PBM and sign up for one of our practice advisory services, along with the heightened status and income that come along with this kind of expertise by clicking on the button today. Choice is yours. If you're ready to take action, make more money, and improve yourself, shake things up, and maybe make some monumental changes for your practice and your future, I encourage you, take that step and enroll today. The choice is yours. If you're ready to take action, shake things up, and make changes, change your practice and your future for the better, take that step and do it today. I expect a flood of doctors that are going to be anxious to sign up for this. That typically happens when we do a webinar. I expect a flood of doctors that may be anxious or excited to sign up for this. That's why I urge you to click to schedule a free, no-obligation consult today. We will only be doing 10 of these. Imagine enhancing your career by incorporating our training and implementation services into your practice and then being able to see the results days later. If you'd like to see one of these practices running in full automation, feel free to visit one of our sites. When you click on the button, you could very well be making the smartest move you will ever make for yourself, for your family, for your patients, as well as your practice. I hope this information expanded your awareness of what's possible, both in your practice and your life. Think about this. You now have 3 choices. First, you can keep working in your practice 30, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, whatever it may be. Hire a few associates to assist you, but then all you would have is extra stuff and increased overhead and the headaches that go along with that. Your second option would be to take the information you've learned and go apply it, do your best, and try to do it on your own. And it'll probably take you a few years to achieve the results. It's not bad. It took me several years, and I had to pay $35,000 a month for a Fortune 500 CEO, but maybe you're better than me and you can do it yourself. Even if you do it yourself, I know it is not going to be as productive as somebody walking you through it. And I sincerely hope that you are successful. Your last option, or your third option, will be the wisest choice, which would be to sign up for a PBM training program by clicking this button, and let's just see how concrete the results can be in 30 days. Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting something different. You can transform your practice by incorporating unique methods and systems into a business, or you could struggle with your practice and hope things get better. What do you think is truly insane? Our webinar is coming to an end, and my wish for you is that this has ignited some type of spark or created a form or some type of a realization within you, and that you realize you deserve something better. There is something more, and that it's not an accident that other doctors that practice what you practice are doing a lot better than you. It's by design. My hope is that you'll click this button at this point in time and at the very least get some more information, see what resonates, see what's possible, see what develops.